So in the book, we explain this cognitive series by symbols. So at the bottom of page 120, you can look. So first, the Bha stands for Bhuvinga, like continuum, that will be arising before the sense object strikes the door. Then the next page, T is Atita Bhuvinga, past life continuum. So at the rising moment of this stator, the visible object and the Chakupasada, the eye door, arise simultaneously. So this is the arising moment. Upada means arising, arising moment of visible object. Na means Bhuvinga Chalana, vibrating light continuum. At the arising moment of this stator, the visible object appears or becomes distinct at the eye door. Note that Atit Mahanda Ramana takes one conscious moment, Titakana, for its full development. And then Da is Bhuvingupa arrested like continuum. The Bhuvinga stream is cut off after the dissolution of this consciousness. Then cognitive process begins with Pancha Dwara Vajana. Pa is Pancha Dwara Vajana, 5 door directing consciousness. It is always the first chapter in the cognitive series of Pancha Dwara Viti. Pancha Dwara means 5 door cognitive series. It confronts the sense object and directs the consciousness stream towards the sense object. Then followed by Chakku Vinyana, eye consciousness. It sees the visible object, it makes sense impression and transmits the impression to the next consciousness before it dissolves. So the next one is Sampadechana Cheta, receiving consciousness. It receives the sense object and the impression and relays the sense object to the next consciousness. The next consciousness is Na. So it's Santirana. So remember, in Santirana, we put a dot under the N, the second N. So also in this symbol, N, we should put a dot under the N. So Santirana is investigating consciousness. So it investigates whether the sense object is good or bad. And then followed by Vuttapana and Manodwara Vachana Cheta makes the determination whether the sense object is good or bad. Then Javana Cheta. Javana Chetas are called impulsive consciousness. They enjoy the taste of the sense object. So one of the 29 Kama Javana Chetas, as conditioned by the Manasikara, reflection, and Vuttapana, determination, arises mostly 7 times. The Javana Cheta, normally, they arises 7 times, enjoying taste of the sense object. So we put in also Manasikara here, because you may remember. So, Yoniso Manasikara, wise reflection will give rise to moral minds. Yoniso Manasikara, unwise reflection will give rise to immoral minds. So, whether the Kusala Cheta or Akusala Cheta arises depend on Manasikara as well as on Vuttapana. Then, the Da means the Da Lambana. So, it is registering consciousness. It immediately follows Javana and runs for 2 conscious moments, enjoying the taste of the sense object. At the dissolving moment of the second Dadalamana Cheta, the visible object and the Chakupasada dissolve together because their lifespan of 17 conscious moment is now complete. Then, Bha is Bhuvinga, life continuum. Since the visible object no longer exists, the cognitive series ends or terminates, and the consciousness stream sinks into life continuum. So when we say it sinks into life continuum, only life on the Bhuvinga Cheta or life continuum keeps on arising. And then we give you the note. This Ati Mahanda Ramana Viti cognitive series, no, is also called Tada Lamana Vara Viti, as it terminates with Tada Lamana Chitta. No? So Tada Lamana Vara Viti is also called. Okay. Tea break now. We meet again at 4:10. No? 4:10. Now we shall continue our teaching. We are on page 122. So in the middle of the page, we get number 2, the occurrence of Mahanta Ramana Viti. So Mahanta Ramana means sense object of fairly great intensity. So in number 1, we have Ati Mahanta, very great intensity. So this time the sense object is only of fairly great intensity. When a visible object of fairly great intensity strikes the eye door, 2 Mahanta Ramana Vitis may arise. The cognitive series may be represented as follows. So you just first look at the first cognitive series A. So this series is similar to this Ati Mahanta cognitive series, very similar. So we say, like before sense object strikes appears in the door, only Bhuvinga Chitta keep arising. Then the visible object strikes the eye at the rising of the first Atita Bhuvinga. So just like here. So at the rising moment of this Atita Bhuvinga, the visible object and the Chakku Pasada, the eye door, they arise together, just like before. But now, as the sense object is of fairly great intensity, and it is weaker than Ati Mahanta Ramana, it takes 2 conscious moments to develop itself to become distinct. So that means 2 Bhuvinga Chitta will pass by before the sense object become distinct. So instead of 1 Atita Bhuvinga, we have 2 Atita Bhuvinga. So in your book we said, instead of 1 Atita Bhuvinga, now you get 2 Atita Bhuvinga. So in after 2 Atita Bhuvinga, we say the visible object become distinct at the arising moment of this Chakadi Bhuvinga Chalana, just like here. So when the Bhuvinga Chalana arises, the sense object becomes distinct and appear at the eye door. So when the sense object appear, so to know that sense object, the Bhuvinga stream vibrates 2 times, as Bhuvinga Chalana, as in Bhuvinga Pacheda, and the Bhuvinga stream is cut off. Then the cognitive, the series begin just like here. Pancha Dwara Vajana, so takes notice of the sense object and directs the mental stream towards the object. Chakku Vijnana sees the sense object and transmit the impression of the sense object to the next. Samarichana receives that sense object, and Santirana investigate where the sense object is good or bad, and then Vattabana determines where the sense object is good or bad. Then according to the determination, one of the 29 Javana Chaitas, Kama Javana Chaita, so arises 7 times as Javana Chaita, enjoying the taste of the sense objects. So when we come to here, how many Chaitas have arisen? So as there are 2 Atita Bhuvinga, Titi, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 Chaitas have arisen. So that means the visible objects, it arises here. Now 16 conscious moments have already passed by. So as the lifespan of the visible object is 17 conscious moment, it has only one conscious moment to last. So two Dadalamana Chaita cannot arise anymore. Because the Dadalamana always arises 2 times. So if it cannot arise 2 times, so it becomes disappointed and it does not arise. And usually the Dadalamana arises only when the sense object is very, very distinct. So only in a Mahandaramana, the Dadalamana arises. So in Mahandaramana, the Dadalamana do not arise anymore. So if the Dadalamana, after the Dadalamana, we say the cognitive process is finished. No, it's already finished. So only Bhuvinga Chitta will keep arising after that. Now, so we put in one Bhuvinga Chitta instead of the Dadalamana, and at the end of that Bhuvinga Chitta, so the lifespan of the visible object and the idol is completed now, so they dissolve, no? They perish. So after that first Bhuvinga, so as there is no sense object, only more Bhuvinga Chitta will keep on arising. So as you, like in the book, so you say there in the first Viti, you have 2 Atita, Bhuvinga, and Nada, Pacha, Sampadesana, Sandhina, Vattavana, 7 Javana, and then 1 Bhuvinga. So we say, no? So at the end of this Bhuvinga, when this Bhuvinga dissolves, the sense object and the idol also dissolve. So after that, only Bhuvinga Chitta keep arising. So we read again the explanation for this first Mahandaramana Viti. Just like the Chinese saying, say, 1 picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you can see with your eye, you understand better. So try to read. So what we have explained now is now described here. So in the first Mahandaramana Viti, the sense object and the Chakupasada, the idol, arise together at the arising moment of the first Atita Bhuvinga. The sense object takes 2 consciousness moments, tt, for its full development and to become distinct at the mind door at the arising moment of Bhuvinga Chalana. So at the arising moment of Bhuvinga Chalana, the sense object becomes distinct. Then the light continuum, Bhuvinga, vibrates for 2 conscious moments as Nada, that is Bhuvinga Chalana, Bhingupachita, and becomes arrested or cut off at the dissolving instant of Bhingupachita. Then the cognitive series proceeds as follows. Pa means Pancha Dvaravajana, 5 door directing consciousness. It takes notice of the sense object and directs the consciousness stream towards the sense object. Cha is Chakku Vijnana, eye consciousness. It sees the object and makes the sense impression. Sampadechana receives that, the receiving consciousness receives that object and the sense impression. Na is Santirana, investigating consciousness. It investigates the object and the impression. What wo is Vattapana, determining consciousness. It determines whether the object is good or bad. Then Ja means Javana, impulsive consciousness. One of the 29 Kama Javana Chaitas arise 7 times, enjoying the taste of the sense object. So far, up till that, only 16 consciousness movements have already passed by. Elapsed means passed by, since the genesis or the arising of the sense object at the eye door. So only 1 conscious movement is left before the object dissolves. So to the Dalamana Chaita, registering consciousness can no longer arise. The Dalamana arises only in Atit Mahanta Ramana Viti. So one Bhuvinga Chaita arises instead, and the sense object and the Chakkupasada, which have arisen together, dissolve together at the dissolving instant of that Bhuvinga Chaita. After that, the life continuum flows on as usual. So, there is a complete explanation of the first Mahanta Viti. So you look back again on page 122, on those, the cognitive series B this time. So, now in the case of B, the sense object is weaker than in case A. So, after the sense object arises at the arising moment of the first Adita Bhuvinga, so it does not become appear or distinct after two conscious moments. As it is weaker, it takes longer time. So this time, the conscious moment must pass by before the sense object becomes distinct at the arising moment of Bhuvinga Chalana. So instead of two Adita Bhuvinga, now we have three Adita Bhuvinga. Because it's weaker and it takes longer time, there's one more conscious moment to develop itself, to become distinct. So you have three Adita Bhuvinga. Now when the sense object becomes distinct at the rising moment of Bhuvinga Chalana, so just like here, the Bhuvinga stream, the vibrates two times as Bhuvinga Chalana, Vigupachida, and is cut off. And then Pancha Dvaravana, Chakku Vinyana, Samvedana, Santirana, Uttapana, and seven Javana arises just like here. But in this case, when the seven Javana dissolve, the visible object and the idol that arise together, their lifespan of 17 conscious moment is complete now, so they also dissolve. So that means when the seven Javana dissolve, the sense object already dissolved, so after that only Bhuvinga Chaita keep arising. So that is the cognitive series B. You can see there, two Adita Bhuvinga, three Adita Bhuvinga, T, and then Bhuvinga Chalana, Bhingupachida, Panja Dvaravajana, Chakku Vinyana, Samvedana, Santirana, Uttapana, seven Javana. So if you up to that, if you count the number of Chaita, 17 Chaita already passed by, so we say the lifespan of the visible object and the idol is complete, so they dissolve. So after that, only Bhuvinga Chaita keeps arising. We read again on page 123. So below the middle, we get number B. So what we have just discussed is described briefly here. Please read and try to understand. Try to see that cognitive series also as you read. In the second Mahanta Ramana Viti, the intensity of the sense object is a little weaker than the intensity of the object in one. So after the genesis of the sense object at the eye door, three Adita Bhuvinga Chaitas pass by before the object becomes well developed and distinct at the eye door. Then the life continuum vibrates and becomes arrested. So is represented by Bhuvinga Chalana and Vingupachida. After that, the cognitive series proceeds as in one, that is in the order of Pancha Dvaravajana, Chakku Vijnana, Samvedana, Santirana, Uttapana, and seven Javanas. At the dissolving instant of the seven Javana, the object and the Chakkupasada, that is the idol, also dissolve. So the cognitive series terminates or comes to an end, and life continuum proceeds as usual. Thus, there are two Mahanta Ramana Vittis which end with Javana Chetas. They are known as Javana Vara Vittis. So if you look in the cognitive series A and B, in A, so we say you have one Bhovinga after 7 Javana. But Bhovinga Chetas are not included in cognitive consciousness. So we say both Vitti terminates with Javana. So as they terminate with Javana, they are known as Javana Vara Vittis. So we go to page 124. So this time the third case, what we call is the occurrence of Prita Ramana Vitti. Prita Ramana means sense object of slight intensity arising in the mind door. So we write there, when a visible object of slight intensity strikes the eye door, Prita Ramana Vitti arises. The cognitive series may be represented as follows. Actually, we can write 6 Vittis this time. So what you need to know is only the first one. So in the examination, if they ask you on this, they always ask only the first one, not here. So write, they explain the cognitive series when Prita Ramana Cheta, Prita Ramana sense object arises in the eye door. So you can explain this one. Now, we are explaining the first Vitti A. Now we say the sense object is weaker than Mahanta Ramana. Now in the case of Mahanta Ramana, we have 2 Atita Bhovinga and 3 Atita Bhovinga. Now since the Prita Ramana is weaker, now we have 4 Atita Bhovinga. We increase 1 Atita Bhovinga. Because it's weaker, it takes longer time to develop itself, to become distinct. So instead of 3 conscious movement, it needs 4 conscious movement to develop itself to become distinct. So now we have 4 Atita Bhovinga, and the sense object now becomes distinct at the arising moment of the Bhovinga Chalana. So just like here. So we say, like in here. So at the sense object becomes distinct or appear at the arising moment of Bhovinga Chalana. Then after that, the cognitive series arise just like here. So when you get the sense object appears in the mind door, then the Bhovinga stream vibrates 2 times as Bhovinga Chalana Bhigupat to become arrested. Then the cognitive series proceeds as Pancha Dvaravana, Chakhu Vinyana, Sambadechana, Santirana, Vattapana. So in this Vitti you just see, after Nada we have Pancha Dvaravana, Chakhu Vinyana, Sambadechana, Santirana, Vattapana. The same thing. So up to that first Vattapana, how many Chetas have already arisen? So you can count in the Vitti A. So 4 Atita Bhovinga and Nada Pacha, that makes 8. Samdechana, Sandina, Vattapana, that means 11. So 11 conscious moments have already passed by. That is, the sense object has already lasted for 11 conscious moments. So how many conscious movements left? Only 6. So only 6. So as only 6 conscious movements left in the lifespan of the visible object, then Javana Cheta cannot arise this time. Because in normal condition, Javana Chetas always arise 7 times. Now it cannot arise 7 times. Again it becomes disappointed and it does not arise at all. So, and another reason we give. Now in the Pritta Ramana, Pritta means very slight, slight intensity. So that means the object is very slight intensity, means it is not distinct, it is weak, it is very weak, obscure you might say. So when they appear in the mind door, it is not distinct, just very, very weak. So when Vattabana determine is for the first time, it cannot determine whether the sense object is good or bad. So if it cannot determine, it is not distinct, not precisely known, so we say it cannot determine. So if it cannot determine whether it's good or bad, then there will be no enjoyment of the sense object. So no Javana Chitta arises. Now when the Javana Chitta cannot arise, Vattabana Chitta arises 2 more times in place of Javana. The reason is Vattabana. Please look here. So Vattabana is investigating function, and it is performed by Manodwara Vachana Chitta. And Manodwara Vachana Chitta performs 2 functions. Avachana, apprehending or taking notice of the sense object, and Vattabana, determine whether it is good or bad. So it performs 2 functions. So the first time Vattabana cannot determine whether the sense object is good or bad. So it retakes the sense object, that avachana. It retakes the sense object and try to decide again whether it's good or bad. Again cannot decide. As the sense object is not distinct, so cannot decide. So another time Vattabana retakes the sense object and decides again. So again, as the sense object is vague, obscure, so not distinct, cannot decide. So it does not arise anymore. 3 times, it's enough. So if you arise, it's just futile, that is worthless. So Vattabana stopped arising. So if Vattabana does not, we finish up to Vattabana function. So we say as the sense object cannot be known, cannot be determined whether it's good or bad, Javana do not arise. If Javana do not arise, the Dalamana will not arise also. So only Bhuvinga Chitta keeps arising. Now, how many Bhuvinga Chitta should be put in? So when you put in 2 more Vattabana, it becomes 13 consciousness. So to complete 17 conscious moment, we put in more 4 Bhuvinga Chitta. So we say, when the 4th Bhuvinga Chitta dissolve, the visible object and the idol also dissolve. So after that, only Bhuvinga Chitta keep arising. So we continued with the remainder of page 124. Now we go to the case B. Now in the case B, the sense object is weaker than case A. So it becomes distinct only after 5 Atita Bhuvinga. So that means we increase 1 Atita Bhuvinga, and then if you increase 1 Atita Bhuvinga in the front, you cut off 1 Bhuvinga Chitta from the rear. So instead of 4 Bhuvinga Chitta, now you have only 3 Bhuvinga Chitta. So when the 3rd Bhuvinga Chitta dissolve, the sense object also dissolve, and after that only Bhuvinga Chitta will keep arising. So as you go down, as the sense object become weaker and weaker, we increase 1 Atita Bhuvinga in the front, and we cut off 1 Bhuvinga Chitta from the rear. So when you come to the E, case E, so we have 3 Vattabana at the end. And then in the case F, you have to cut 1 more Chitta, so we have only 2 Vattabana. Now you should stop, you say, because when the Javana Chitta cannot arise, and Vattabana is arising in place of Javana, it must arise at least 2 times. So we stop there, so we get all 6 viti. Now all these 6 vittis, we say they terminate with Uttapana. So remember, Bhuvinga Chitta is not counted among cognitive consciousness. So these vittis terminate. Terminate means comes to an end with Uttapana. So they are known as Uttapana Vara Vitti. So again, on page 125, so in the middle, we describe that, we read the description we have just described. So it is a third paragraph, please read, and also look at those we teach cognitive series. In the next 5 successive vittis, Atita Bhuvinga is increased one by one as the object becomes weaker and weaker, and accordingly the chaitas in the ray have to be cut off one by one, as the total conscious movement cannot exceed the lifespan, that is 17 consciousness movements of the sense object, the lifespan of the sense object. Thus, at the 6th vitti, the cognitive series terminates after 2 Uttapana chaitas. The number of Uttapana chaitas cannot be reduced further, as there must be at least 2 Uttapana chaitas in functioning in place of Jamana. So there are 6 Preta Ramana vittis, which all end with Uttapana. They are known as Uttapana Vara Vitti. As there are no jhavanas in these vittis, there is no enjoyment of the taste of the sense object. The object is not precisely known, it seems to be known very roughly. These vittis occur in babies whose Chakupasada is weak. So even when the sense object is of great intensity, its appearance is not distinct. Young babies, say about 1 month old. So, though his eyes is good, but the Chakupasada, the percent, the eyeball is still weak. So even the visible object is quite distinct, but it appears only weakly or not distinct in the eyes, in the baby's eye. So the baby do not know the sense objects precisely. So he does not remember his mother or his father. So if you try to give something to the baby try to catch it, but it cannot catch it because it cannot see it very well. But also for our the grown-up person. So when the light is very dim, you cannot see the object clearly, then only the Prita Ramana Vitti will arise. Also, if the sense object is very far away, you cannot know very distinctly. You don't know, is that Anthony Lawrence or not? So only at that time Prita Ramana Vitti will arise. So we go to the case 4. So it is the occurrence of Ati Preta Ramana Vitti. Ati Preta Ramana means sense object of very slight intensity. So the sense object is weaker than the case 3 that we call Preta Ramana. So in Preta Ramana Vitti, the final Vitti contains 9 Atita Bhuvinga. Contains 9 Atita Bhuvinga. So this time, at the bottom of page 125, we write the Vitti. So we have to put in 10 Atita Bhuvinga. So after 10 Bhuvinga Chitta or 10 conscious movement pass by, now the sense object become distinct in the eye door. So that is denoted by the arising moment of Bhuvinga Chalana. So at the arising moment Bhuvinga Chalana, the sense object always become distinct. So it vibrates 2 times, nana. Only vibrates and it is not cut off. Because the sense object is very weak, it cannot break the Bringa stream, so only vibrates 2 times. And as the Bringa stream is not cut off, then no cognitive consciousness arises. So only Bringa Chaita keeps arising. So to complete 17 conscious movement, we put in 5 Bringa Chaita. So this is the series. So we read the first paragraph. Please read. When a visible object of very slight intensity strikes the idol, the object takes 10 to 15 conscious movements for its full development. Even then, the intensity of the object is so slight that it causes the light continuum to only vibrate twice without becoming arrested or cut off. So no Viti Chaitas arise, and the object is not known at all. However, the following 6 Viti forms can be written to represent Atipreta Ramana Vitis. Now we can continue writing the Atipreta Ramana Vitis. So we have written the series in number A. Now when you go to number B, we increase 1 Atita Bhuinga in the front, and we cut 1 Bhuinga Chaita from the rear as the sense object becomes weaker. So now in B, you get 11 Atita Bhuinga. So you keep on increasing 1 Atita Bhuinga in the front and cut 1 Bhuinga Chaita from the rear. So in case F, we have 15 Atita Bhuinga Chaitas and then 2 Bhuinga Chalana. So it terminates with the second Bhuinga Chalana. So we cannot cut anymore because Bhuinga Chalana might vibrates 2 times. So we get also 6 Atipreta Ramana Vitis. So in the explanation below, just read the second paragraph. The object is not known at all as no Viti Chaitas arise. Because these Vitis are deprived of Viti Chaitas, they are known as Moga Vara Vitis, Shuddhai cognitive series. Yes. So on page 126, we look at the bottom topic, 5-door cognitive series. Now we have described already 4 cases how the cognitive series arise in the eye door. So we describe below, in the process of cognition at the eye door, there are 1 Tadalamana Vara Viti for Ati Mahanta Ramana. So that is this Viti. We have only 1 Viti. And then number 2, 2 Javana Vara Vitis for Mahanta Ramana. And 6 Uttavana Vara Vitis for Preta Ramana. And 6 Moga Vara Vitis for Ati Preta Ramana. So altogether we have 15 Vitis at the eye door. Similarly, there are 15 Vitis each at the ear door, at the nose door, at the tongue door, and at the body door. Thus, the total number of Pancha Dwara Vitis, 5-door cognitive series, at the 5 door is 15 multiplied by 5, we get 75 Vitis. So in writing the Viti forms and explaining the forms for the ear door, Sota Vinyana, so the symbol soul, should be inserted in place of Jakku Vinyana, and sound and Sota Pasada should replace visible object and Jakku Pasada respectively. Similar proper changes should be made for the remaining 3 doors. So if you know the cognitive series, not in the eye door, so in the ear door, the nose door, the tongue door, the body door, The cognitive series arise in the same way. So we say in writing, the cognitive series, instead of chakku vinyana, for the ear door, you have to put in so, sota vinyana. For the nose door, you have to put in gana vinyana. For the tongue door, ji. So you just do that. And for the ear door again, instead of the visible object and chakku pasada, you have to say it is the sound and sota pasada. Now the next topic is the simile of a mango fruit. So in this topic, we compare this Ati Mahanta Brahmana Viti with the falling of a mango fruit, to understand the Viti better. So a man, he leaves his house early in the morning to go on a long journey on foot. So he walks for 6 hours. So it becomes the noon time. And he is very tired now. And he has already eaten the food he has brought along, and also the water is gone. So as he was and he very tired, and as the sun is quite hot, now he found a mango tree, quite shady. So he went under the mango tree to take rest, sit down, and then as there is also a good breeze, he became sleepy. So he slept on the ground, putting his head on the root of the mango tree. So he fell asleep. So when he fell asleep, it is similar to Puinga Chaita arising in this Viti. So while he was asleep, there are some ripe mangoes on the tree. So as there is a breeze, so one mango, ripe mango, it swings and then it drops to the ground. So it strikes the ground, boom. So that is similar to the visible object striking the eye door. So that sound boom wakes up the man. So when he was asleep, when he wakes up, he he doesn't open his eye yet. He just raised his head, shaking 2 times. So that is the Boinga stream vibrates 2 times, as Boinga Chalana and Boingu Pachida. Then we say the Boinga stream is cut off. So the Boinga stream is cut off is like the man. He opens his eye. So Boinga stream, the sleeping is cut off now when he opens his eye. Then he tried to look around. What is that sound? What that sound? So it is just like Pancha Dwara Vachana. Try to take notice of the sense object that appears in the eye. What is that sense object? So just get the same thing. What is that caused the sound? He looks around. So then he sees the mango, the ripe mango. So it's not very far from his head. So he saw it. And it is like Chakku Vinyana, seeing the visible object. Now when the man sees a ripe mango, he picks it up. So that is like Sampadechana Chaita, receiving the sense object transmitted by Chakku Vinyana. Now after the man picks up, does he eat immediately? Not yet. So he will look around whether it is good or bad, or is suddenly rotten or not. So it is just like in the Santirana, investigating whether the sense object is good or bad. Then when he looks at, no rotten spot, it's very good. So he decides it is good to eat. It's good to eat. So it is similar to the Buddhavana, determining that the sense object is good. So now, as he is hungry, now the mango is good to eat. What would he do? So he bites, 7 times eat. So as he was very hungry, after biting 7 times, the mango is finished. So it is like, the 7 Javana Chaitas arises enjoying the taste of the sense object. So as the mango, the flesh is eaten, so now the seed he would throw away, but still there are some remnants of the fruit and the juices sticking to the teeth. So what did the man did? So he tried to collect it with his tongue. And then he swallowed it together with the saliva, and that is like the two that are Lapana Chaita, continued enjoying the taste of the sense object. So now the process of eating is finished. So as he is still sleepy, so he lies down on the root of the mango tree and falls asleep. So that is just like as the cognitive process is over, so Bhuvinga Chaita keep arising. So we are on page 128 now. So the topic is cognitive consciousness at the 5 doors. So if we just read 3 lines there, if we examine the Panchadwara Vittis, we shall notice that 7 types of consciousness participate in the Vittis. So, when in those, the cognitive series, so we say Ati Mahanta Ramana Chaita is the longest, and it contains the greatest number of Chaitas up to the Dalamana. So if you look at this cognitive series, how many types of consciousness participate? So in counting the cognitive consciousness, we don't count Bhuvinga Chaita. So Atita Bhuvinga, this is the Bhuvinga Chalana, this is Bhuvingupat Chaita, so we don't count them. So we count from Panchadwara Vajana, Chakhu Vinyana, Sampadechana, Sandirana, Vottabana, Javana, and the Dalamana. How many kinds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no. There should be 7. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Javana is 1 kind, and the Dalamana 1 kind. Only 7 types we say. And if you count the number, so you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's what we write here. Now if you look on the middle paragraph on page 128, we see the numbers of Chaita that participate in the longest Vitti. There is Tit Mahanta Ramana Vittis are Panchadwara Vajana 1, Pancha Vinyana 1. He used the word Pancha Vinyana because he is considering all the 5 sense objects. So it only for the eye door, it would be Chakku Vinyana. For the ear door, it will be Sota Vinyana. For the nose door, Ghana Vinyana. So for the 5 door, he used the word Pancha Vinyana 1. Sampadechana 1, Sandhina 1, Vottabana 1, Javana 7, the Dalamana 2, altogether 14 Chaitas. Now the total number of Chaitas that can participate in the Panchadwara what we teach are. So for Panchadwara Vajana Chaita, there is only 1 Chaita. Now in the case of Pancha Vinyana Chaita, that is for 5 sense door, so there will be 10 Chaita, because 2 eye consciousness, 2 nose consciousness, 2 tongue consciousness, 2 body consciousness, and 2 altogether 10. 2 nose consciousness, altogether 10. And Sampadechana Chaita, we know there are 2. And Santirana Chaita, there are 3. And Vottabana Chaita, is only, that is performed by Manodwara Vajana, only 1. In the Gama Javana Chaitas, there are 29 Gama Javana Chaitas. And the Dalamana Chaitas, So we just take 8 because 3 Santirana are already taken in number D. So remember, the Dhalamana is performed by 3 Santiranas and 8 Mahavipaka. As is already counted, we just take this to be 8. So when we add up all together, we get 54. This is the same thing as we described in here. The same thing as we described in here. So we say the chaita that can arise in the eye door is 1 Panja Dwara Vajana. So if you take only eye door alone, you take only Chakku Vijnana 2. And then we take Samtejana 2, Sandirana 3, Vattapana 1, Kama Javana 29, and the Dhalamana 8, so you get 46 for 1 door. So if you take all the 5 doors, so you have to also include Sota Vijnana 2, Kana Vijnana 2, Jiva Vijnana 2, Kaya Vijnana 2. So instead of 2, you get 10. So you increase 8. So if you plus, you add 8 to 46, you get 54 chaita. So we say these 54 chaitas are the 54 Kamavachara chaitas. So the same thing, we are getting the same result. So we come to the topic on page 129. The object and the base taken by each Viti chaita. All the Pancha Dwara Viti chaitas grasp or take the present sense objects that exist in the sense door. So we just look at this I-door cognitive series here. So we say the sense object and the I-door, Chakupasada, arises at the arising moment of Atita Bhuvinga. And this sense object becomes distinct at the arising moment of the Bhuvinga Chalana. So, this object and the Chakupasada, they dissolve only when the second Dhalamana Chaita dissolve. So that means the sense object exists from the arising moment of Bhuvinga Chalana till the dissolution, the dissolving instant of the second Dhalamana. And we call this sense object present sense object. So when we say, the Chakku Vijnana sees the present sense object, so the sense object must exist in the door. It must be arising and existing in the door. So to see that. And so all these, the cognitive consciousnesses, they take that sense object, we say. That sense object is the present visible sense object. You understand? So, like the ear-door cognitive series also, they would take the present sense object, just like here. So, now, the second question is, what do they depend on?